The 2K Sports Pregame Show.
Hello, Hoops fans. It's the NBA on 2K Sports, along with Kenny, the Jet, the champion, Smith, and Shaquille, the Diesel, the champion several times, O'Neal. I'm your host, Ernie Johnson. Tip-off coming up shortly from Smoothie King Center as the New Orleans Pelicans will be going up against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets have to feel pretty good about their recent play. You got to give their coaching staff credit for how well they had the team prepared coming into the season. There have been none of those early struggles that so many teams experience. They found their identity in the preseason, and that has translated into a great start for them. Look at the numbers DeMarcus Cousins has put up the last few seasons. Just astounding. The scoring, the rebounding. How about the defense?
Well, I think he's still one of the best true big men who plays inside the paint and as a three-pointer, but does most of his damage inside like big guys are supposed to do.
Well, you know what? You can't deal with his size and strength. That's the one thing. There's very few guys can do that. Emotionally, if he stays on course, he could be one of the greats that ever played this game. You don't believe that?
What happened?
Okay.
Time for tip-off. We send it to Kevin Harlan for the call.
We've got NBA basketball in store from New Orleans, Louisiana, the home of the Pelicans, right here on 2K Sports. This is Kevin Harlan alongside Brent Barry and Greg Anthony. We've got David Aldridge reporting from the sideline. For the Pelicans, happy to be here in New Orleans right now in the midst of a homestand. This is a team showing a better record this year over last. This was their goal, and it's coming to fruition so far.
And what you love about rivalry games, doesn't matter where the teams are in the standings. This is about pride.
Well, as much as guys talk about it and try to downplay it, we know what's at stake here. You get into the game, and then your emotions take over.
And let's go straight over to David Aldridge for a report before the tip-off. Hey, Dave.
Well, guys, James Harden is a great offensive player, but there's no mistaking it. He does dominate the ball. Now, that can bother teammates sometimes, but Coach Mike D'Antoni says when they feel that paycheck every 2 weeks, that should make them play hard. You have to be a star in your role. So when James gets the ball to you, shoot it, and then run back and play hard as heck. Kevin?
Thanks. He's a great passer, David. There's no doubt he can set the table.
And when you watch this Rockets team, you can see just how explosive they are on the offensive end. Almost everyone on the floor can hurt you from deep, and they all know their role and execute it to a T.
Tip-off goes to Houston. All fueled up and ready to go. Let's check out who's on the floor, courtesy of Gatorade. Taking a look at the Rockets. Anderson is down low with Capella. Harden and Gordon teaming up in the backcourt. And it's Ariza in at the 3 spot. Now, here is Harden. Offensively, he's been a one-man wrecking crew. His scoring average is over 30 points a game. And last season, the Rockets' offense was incredible. Then they go and add Chris Paul.
They can run a team off the floor if they get hot. Two great playmakers in Paul and Harden. And making a move for Paul made a lot of teams fear what the Rockets can do now on offense.
Now, here's Ariza. He had a 15-point outing in their last game against the Pacers in Indianapolis.
Way to attack there and then create the contact. And how about the career progression of Trevor Ariza? He came into this league somewhat as an energy player who, obviously could attack the rim. Now he's one of those guys who's primarily a 3-and-D component.
Free throw good from Trevor Ariza. For Ariza, his first few years in the NBA, over half his shots came within a few feet of the rim. Greg, now over 2/3 of his shots are from beyond the arc.
And that's just how it goes for some players in the NBA. Ariza he has some bursts to finish at the rim, but has turned himself into a deep threat, and he's always been a presence with his defense as well.
And a story of two halves last season for the Pelicans. An 0-8 start, but encouraging signs, Brent, down the stretch.
Yeah, they ended up with the 11th best net rating in the NBA after they made the trade during the All-Star weekend for DeMarcus Cousins. So if this team can gel and if they can get these pieces to work together, they do have the chance not only to excel, but to be very special with the unique talents of their bigs.
Here is Harden following the basket by DeMarcus Cousins. Just 4 to shoot. Gordon for 3, and Davis pulls it down.
You know what, though? Sometimes you can be too open. I think it may have surprised him, and that's why he missed.
And here's Moore outside. 1 up, 1 down, 2 points with his first shot this game.
Each Moore doesn't get a lot of open touches, but when he does, he's got to be prepared to shoot. So lets that one go quickly.
Ariza has the open look, and he's good on the 3-ball. Ariza's got 7 points in the game.
Oh, a little punch, counter punch action. Neither side flinching here.
Yeah, both sides trying to keep up with one another, but doing it from distance.
Davis kicks to Cousins. 3-pointer. And that one is off. And still a close game as the first quarter comes to a close. Rockets lead by 2. And we'll get things started in the second quarter when we return. And so far, it's been a closely contested game as we get the second quarter up and going. Let's quickly break down the game we've seen so far from the Rockets, guys.
And boy, I tell you, it didn't take them long to find their rhythm. Strong offense through 1.
A nice game plan coming in, and right now sticking to it. It's a nice lead that they have.
As we've seen, many teams play a little bit of a soft zone defensively. What's the best way, you think, Brent, to counteract that when you're trying to run your half-court offense?
Well, the best way to counteract anybody who's softening up on the backside of the zone is to overload that side of the court, Kevin. So now all of a sudden, if you make a shift with more players on one side of the floor, there's no way for 3 to cover 2 on the backside. That's where teams can gain incredible advantage.
And so in the game for the Rockets, Harden and Gordon teaming up in the backcourt. P.J. Tucker is out there with Luke and Mbah-a-Moute. Then it's Nene in at the center. Now let's go to the sideline and catch up with our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge.
Well, guys, the Pelicans do have their challenges, but Anthony Davis remains committed to winning in New Orleans. He said, "I love it here. I don't plan on leaving. Yes, I fit into that old school category where I want to try to win where I start my career. That's always been a goal of mine. My goal is to bring a championship here." Kevin?
And David, loyalty does go a long way. Davis is a perfect guy to build your team around. He wants to win. And the Rockets with possession here. The Pelicans make their last shot. Harden dishes to Gordon. Nene controls the rebound and puts it back up and in.
That is really good work there on the offensive glass.
To the wing on the left. Cousins, no one around him from outside off the mark. And Mbah-a-Moute kicks it to Tucker. And the foul called on DeMarcus Cousins. That's foul number 2 for him. Some changes for New Orleans. Dante Cunningham's checked in for Davis. Ian Clark comes in for Allen. And it's Holiday in for Nelson. Houston also making some changes. Clint Capella, he's checked in for Nene. Anderson comes in for Mbah-a-Moute. And Trevor Ariza has subbed in for P.J. Tucker. Now here's Gordon. He had a 21-point outing in their last game against Indiana. The Rockets with another miss.
Well executed, great rhythm. You've got to finish that one.
Well, it's like Thanksgiving out there, carving out space off the screen. Just couldn't complete the play. That floater is a thing of beauty, effective when it's used the right way.
Look at the big fella working on that possession. He knows how to fend guys off and get those rebounds.
And so it's tied as we head to halftime. And now we'll send it over to David Aldridge, who is standing by courtside. David.
Thanks, Kevin. AD, you see how they're playing you in the first half. What's the adjustment going to be?
So, we got to come out with a great intensity, and it starts in the warm-up. So, we got to come out with a great intensity, great mindset, and try to go out there and win the third quarter.
I have never heard anyone say it starts in warm-ups until now. Thanks, AD. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, David, thank you. We'll be back after halftime for the start of the third quarter.
The 2K Sports Halftime Show.
Hello, folks. Welcome back. Ernie Johnson here with Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith. This is the halftime show on 2K Sports. A competitive matchup for New Orleans in the first quarter. Their largest deficit of the period was just 4 points. They were right there within shouting distance the entire time. They had a slight edge on the scoreboard in the second quarter, but only by the slimmest of margins. What did you think, Shaq, about New Orleans?
Well, a lot of their points came in transition. They dictated the pace of the game. It was a fast pace. Put the defense back on its heels. I say keep attacking the second half. Do not slow down.
And over to Kenny. What did you think about the Rockets?
They played aggressive, lockdown defense. That was the main difference in the first half. Because when you come out and establish that you're going to play physical, that sets the tone for the rest of the game. On top of that, I think they showed more energy, outworking and out-hustling.
And that wraps up halftime as the game is set to get back underway. Let's send it to Kevin Harlan and crew, standing by courtside.
Well, both sides have assessed what they need to do over the break in halftime. We'll see now if one can pull out a way here in the third. Without question, Trevor Ariza displaying his skills today.
Yeah, and the numbers don't jump out at you, but the impact on the game sure does.
Well, the commitment he has to fill his role and consistently fill that role, that's what that team needs from him.
Well, both sides have assessed what they need to do over the break in halftime. We'll see now if one can pull out a way here in the third. And Brent, some pressure on the Pelicans front office and coaching staff to win now.
Well, Alvin Gentry has dealt with a lot of injuries surrounding Anthony Davis in his short tenure with the Pelicans, and it took a little while for the organization to confirm that the upper management and coaching staff would be back for this season, so it feels a bit tenuous. Hopefully they can get themselves together and be one of the teams with that kind of talent that finds their way into the postseason this year.
The bigs inside, Davis and Cousins. Holiday and Moore, the guards. And it's Cunningham in at the three. That's the Pelicans 5.
Well, when Davis can get that kind of position down low, those kinds of looks are pretty much golden.
Anderson the screen. And they call an illegal screen here. Just a moment to look back at how things were last season for this team as we look at the shot breakdown for the Pelicans.
And no doubt they relied upon that three-point shot to provide a big chunk of their scoring. Now, that's been a trend in the modern NBA, and they took that philosophy and ran with it.
New Orleans in the lead. Outside Holiday, and there's the feed to Davis. Over in the corner, Cunningham. Lets it go from deep. He can't get it to go. And the Rockets take it the other way. They defeated Indiana in their last trip.
No way.
I mean, just beautiful.
And another momentum shift. These teams going back and forth all night.
Yeah, which team's going to find some consistency first? Neither one can pull away.
And that last replay, courtesy of Under Armour. Another Unleash Chaos moment. Now, here's Cousins. Cousins with a screen on Harden. 5 to shoot. Unloads from 13. And it's New Orleans scoring again.
Flawless pick and roll motion there, executed to perfection by Drew Holiday.
Screen by Capella. And Harden gets it to go in on the assist by Eric Gordon. Third quarter, guys, and this has been a neck-and-neck game.
Both teams getting it done defensively, as evidenced by the 8 lead changes thus far.
From 10 feet out, and good, and it takes a nice bounce off the right iron and down. 8 points for Anthony Davis.
You can't slow AD down when he's hitting that shot. This is the kind of guy that you wake up in a cold sweat the night before you play him. Just a matchup nightmare. Tricky, confident, and he takes on all comers.
3 quarters of play in a close game here. Rockets ahead. They lead by 2. From New Orleans, back in a moment. And a moment ago, inside the huddle with head coach Alvin Gentry.
Guys, we got to be more solid, okay? We got to be more solid defensively. No, we got to dig in, we got to guard, okay? And then we got to execute our offense.
A lot of things on that list, trying to refocus his troops moments ago, Coach Alvin Gentry.
Yeah, the energy's all right, but the execution definitely could be better with and without the basketball.
And thanks for joining us again as the fourth quarter of play is set to get rolling. It's been a close battle to this point. Fourth quarter on the court for the Rockets. Gordon and Ariza are on the wings. Luke Mbamute out there with Clint Capella. And it's Harden in at point. Here's Clark, defended by Gordon. Allen, a screen on Ariza. Davis against Mbamute. From 8. The bucket is good. He'll have a chance for one more. It's on Mbamute.
Phenomenal strength there by AD to take the hit and finish that one.
DeMarcus Cousins, he's checked in for Miller. And that one falls for Anthony Davis.
He really relished these moments, and he loves those pressure situations.
Gordon with it. Screen by Mbamute. Harden, no good.
Not quite enough defense that time around. Just lucky he was off.
Allen passes to Nelson. 54 seconds left in the fourth. And out of bounds as the Rockets gain possession.
Yeah, unfortunately, just poor execution there. You cannot give the ball away at this point in the game.
New Orleans making some changes here. Cunningham, he's checked in for Allen. Each Moore comes in for Ian Clark. And it's Holiday in for Jameer Nelson. And a change for the Rockets. Anderson's checked in. Timeout called the Rockets. They trail by 1. 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And now we've got a moment for our Jordan player of the game, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, more than half of their scoring has been through him. It hadn't been selfish either. That's the way they mapped this thing out. And they knew what a tough matchup he'd be for their D, so they just decided to ride it.
And we've got an update here, so let's catch up with David Aldridge.
Well, guys, over that last break, I listened to Mike D'Antoni talk to his team. With this game in the balance, he really came after his guys. He said, this is our time. Right now, be in the moment with each other. Do your job, and I promise you we'll win this game. Back to you.
Okay, David, thanks.
Oh, that is the play of the game.
Nothing more rewarding than hitting the big shot for your team.
Timeout called here. The Pelicans decide to talk it over. They're behind by 1. 32 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Holiday dishes to Cousins. They set the pick. 8-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Davis. It's rebounded by Houston.
And usually that mid-range jumper finds the bottom of the net. Defense has to be more aggressive moving forward.
We've got 22 seconds left to play here in the fourth. And an intentional foul right there.
Yeah, you can't let them hold the ball and just milk those last seconds away.
Take a break. Take a break. 2 shots.
No good as the first free throw missing for him. We'll see if he can nail the second.
And the southpaw stroke of Harden is just beautiful to watch. When he's cooking, he's one of the more lethal scorers in our league.
And the second of 2 is good. That will put them up by 2. Now a timeout called by New Orleans. They're behind by 2. There's 21 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Guys, what's your take?
You know what? You can go for the 3 to win or the 2 to tie. What's your choice in a situation like this?
I really like when you run plays that have options. Get to either one and take the best shot available.
And it's the Pelicans with the ball. And Moore kicks to Cunningham. Shoots from the baseline. It's good! A huge shot to tie it up.
Well, with the game's outcome hanging in the balance, Davis does exactly what he needs to do. A gigantic shot from their big man.
Now a timeout called by Houston. .11 seconds left to play here in the fourth. Ariza outside. High, arcing shot. Missed. Oh, it's no good. And we're headed to overtime. And regulation now complete. We will go to overtime. We've got more NBA basketball coming your way in just a minute. Well, if you love great competition and neck-to-neck basketball action, this one has been a great one. Overtime number 1. Getting going right now. Tip-off goes to New Orleans. And always a good ride in these post-regulation battles. This overtime now looking to be an exciting one. All fueled up and ready to go to overtime basketball here, brought to us by Gatorade. Let's check out who's on the floor. So for New Orleans right now, the star big men pair of Davis and Cousins are up front. Holiday and Moore the guards. And it's Cunningham in at the small forward.
And you have to love how Holiday came up big with the shot. That's the kind of leadership you want to see from him.
Now a timeout called by Houston. They're trailing by 3. 36 seconds left in overtime. Down low, from 8. Here's Capella. It's in! And what a sensational bucket to bring them within 1.
Tremendous effort. He will not be denied on the offensive glass.
We can probably expect to see him slow it down now.
Yeah, I think you want to milk your possessions.
6-second difference between shot and game clock.
And they've got a foul to give here if they need it.
Timeout called for Rockets. They're trailing by 3. 16 seconds left in the first overtime. What's your take, guys?
You know, you'd love to be able to clear space and get that triple, but you can also do the 2 with a quick foul.
Well, it really depends on what's available, so we'll see how the defense lines up here.
And here's Gordon from outside, right between the eyes. A tremendous 3 to tie it up.
Just a huge shot by Gordon with the game on the line. That's why his teammates want him to take those shots. Steps up big.
Now a timeout called by New Orleans. And so here is New Orleans. And Cousins kicks to Moore. Left side, Davis. Count it!
Even though Davis gets bodied just a little bit, he still knocks down the shot right in the defense's face.
So it's a narrow victory for the Pelicans, pulling it out for the W. They had to scrape and claw to push it to overtime, but they really came out in the extra period.
What a ride. I mean, I thought it might end in regulation, but you know what? They came through big and did exactly what was necessary once we got into OT.
And that about wraps it up. For Brent Barry, Greg Anthony, and David Alton, this is Kevin Harlan, along with our 2K Sports crew, thanking you for tuning in. We'll see you later.